Welcome back to Emily Reads 50 Shades Darker, Chapter 5. Greta, who is Mr. Grey talking to? Greta is the receptionist, in case I forgot to mention that. My scalp is trying to leave the building. The receptionist informs Anastasia that Mrs. Robinson is in fact Mrs. Lincoln. Christian and Eleanor are chatting and she's like rubbing his arm and stuff. 50 strides back to me. Is she calling him 50 or is he 50 strides away? 1, 2, 3. Anna's trying not to cry and she wants to get away from all this fucked upness. Perhaps E.L. James lost her thesaurus on the day she wrote this chapter. Fucked upness. She says, I want to get my hair cut, preferably somewhere you haven't fucked the staff or the clientele. I don't feel like that's too much to ask. He asks if she's running away and she says, no, I just want a damn haircut. Let the woman have a haircut for fuck's sake. Christian's phone rings and it's Welch. E.L. James has such a beautiful eye for detail when it's completely irrelevant. I gaze in the direction of the large sapling in front of me. Its leaves the newest green. And yet in the whole first book there was no description of the main love interest. I'm just saying. Priorities. Christian says, killed in a car crash? When? Which I feel like you wouldn't actually say if somebody said that to you on the phone. Killed in a car crash? Killed in a car crash? It's just for exposition. I get it. This is beginning to make sense. This is beginning to make sense. Is what Christian says when it starts to make no sense at all.
Explains why, but not where. She's here. She's watching us.
Yes. ... No.
2 or 4. 24/7. I haven't broached that yet.
What?
I see.
When?
That recently?
But how?
No background checks. I see. 24/7 from this afternoon.
Established liaison with Taylor. It's just like 2 paragraphs of complete nonsense while you only get one half of the conversation. So let's backtrack. Layla left her husband and ran off with a guy who was killed in a car crash 4 weeks ago. Killed in a car crash? When? 4 weeks ago. Christian's like, Layla is after either you or me, so I'm taking you to my apartment to keep you safe. And Anna's like, but no, I wouldn't want to do that, man. And he says, you are coming back to my apartment if I have to drag you there by the hair. Her scalp is trying to leave the room again, except he's attached. I gape at him. This is beyond belief. 50 Shades in glorious Technicolor. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. And then he picks her up over his shoulder and carries her away. She agrees to walk after that. Apparently, Layla has a concealed weapons permit, so they're gonna die. That means she can just buy a gun. America. She's more worried that Layla will kill Christian than her because she's so in love with him. She packs a small bag and includes the helicopter balloon. Taylor's waiting for them. Yay! Taylor has a 7-year-old daughter. Why, oh why, have I fallen for someone who is plain crazy? Beautiful, sexy as fuck, and crazy with a capital K. It's not how you spell crazy. You make me look at the world differently, Anastasia. You give me hope. Hope for what? More. La 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 la. There's something about you, Anastasia, which calls to me on some deep level I don't understand. Maybe it's because her blood tastes amazing to you. The hairdresser has arrived. Franco is small, dark, and gay. I love him. I knew she was over-eager to declare her love about Christian Grey, but this guy, instant love. So we get a bit of a list of what's upsetting Anastasia. The gross invasion of privacy, taking her to the same salon that he took all of his exes. But the thing I think that's really niggling at her is you let Mrs. Robinson touch you. He says she knows where. He looks at her and says, Anastasia, do you have any idea how much money I make? Why should I? I don't need to know the bottom line of your bank account, Christian. And he says, I know. That's one of the things I love about you. He used the L word, guys. Guys, he said love. And her italics are thinking, love about me? I earn roughly $100,000 an hour. That's too much. He's very, very rich. Her italics suddenly chime in with, one of the things I love about you. He's coming towards her, barefoot, wearing just an untucked white shirt, jeans, and a smoldering look. He says, "I'm not going to touch you until you say yes." Consent! It's always a good idea to ask for consent. Yeah, consent is sexy. He says, "I want to bury myself in you and just forget everything but us." And her italics are thinking, oh my, us. They start making out and touching each other, and Taylor's there. Mr. Grey, Taylor coughs. Awkward. Lying down on the bed, I gaze at my Mac, my iPad, and my BlackBerry. I am overwhelmed with technology. She's like a nana. And she fires up Google to surf the net. Bless her cotton socks. He hands her some lipstick and takes off his shirt. They're going to map out the touchable and untouchable areas of his torso. She's counting the scars all over his torso and she gets up to 9. Once she finishes drawing on his torso, they get back to their sexy times from earlier, but that will have to wait until next chapter because that's the end of chapter 5. What happened in chapter 5? Anastasia got a haircut. We found out that Layla has a concealed weapon license and thus probably also a gun. Taylor caught them smooching and she drew on him in lipstick. That is all. If you enjoy me reading this book, you can go to my Patreon to support me. If you don't want to do that, you can just subscribe and that's fine too. If you don't enjoy me reading this book, what are you even doing here? Weirdo.